Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to the Vaishnavi Ministry Celebration of Mothers campaign. Happy Mother's Day, everyone. I'm here with Mother Gopi Gita, the author of Leadership Parenting, an educator, and a mother. Welcome, Mother Gopi Gita.
Hare Krishna, Lauren. Hare Krishna, everybody. A very happy Mother's Day to you all. I'm actually feeling really excited right now for this conversation. There's nothing better than celebrating mamas, celebrating mothers. So thank you for having me.
Mother Gopi Gita, would you like to do the invocation prayers?
Sure, I'd love to. We'll start off with the pranams, the obeisances to our spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you.
Thank you, Mother Gopi Gita. I'm just going to read Mother's bio. Mother Gopi Gita is the founder of Leadership Parenting and guides executives, parents, and leadership across North America. She's a representative of the ISKCON Ministry of Education in North America and guides parents and teachers in care for their children. She's been educating children for over 25 years and has been practicing bhakti yoga since her birth. Welcome, Mother Gopi Gita. Thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you so much. I also wanted to add that I have two boys. I'm mama to two grown boys now, 22-year-old Reja and 19-year-old Nitai Pran. Since we are celebrating Mother's Day, I thought might as well throw that in there.
Yes, thank you. As I said earlier, Mother Gopi Gita is the author of Leadership Parenting. It is an amazing book on parenting, but also it can teach you a lot about just relationships in general. So even if you're not a parent, you can definitely give it a read. She makes a lot of amazing points in her book that are infused with bhakti yoga philosophy and also psychological theories. One of the earlier points in her book, she talks about the 5 misconceptions. Mother Gopi Gita, would you like to share with us?
Oh, absolutely. So before I share with you the 5 misconceptions, thank you so much, Lauren, for introducing me. I'd love to hear more about who you are. Would you be okay to share that with me? Like tell
Sure.
me a little bit about yourself.
My name is Lauren. I am almost 23 years old. I am currently going to school for psychology.
Mm.
I will be earning my associates by the end of the summer, and then I am going to start studying social work. I have a deep desire to become a social worker and hopefully a researcher. I was introduced to Bhakti Yoga about 4 years ago, and around that time period, I also became a mom. My son is almost 3 years old, and
Wow.
yes, he's almost 3 years old, and ever since he's entered my life, I've just been really trying to take Bhakti Yoga seriously. I
Mm.
looked at Gita Nagari for a little bit which is kind of where I fell in love with the practice and learned so much about it. And that was about 2 years ago or so. And so now, fast forward, I am trying my best to learn more about Krishna and to serve and just all the philosophy of Bhakti Yoga.
Lauren, you're so radiant, and I loved like watching your face just lit up when you started talking about your son and how he brought you to well, I'm bringing in that it seems like he brought you to Krishna consciousness because you said as you developed, as you grew, you're like developing more interest in Bhakti Yoga. And I'm really so honored, Lauren, to be talking to you today. You're a young mom. You're right in the trenches of kind of like the hardest, some would say. The threes to the fives and the twos to the fives is a really like trying time. I mean, all of it is trying. When they're babies, when they're one, when they're two, when they're three, all of it can like throw you for a loop. But these developmental stages from 2 to 4, 2 to 5, and like 13 to 16, the adolescent stages, there's so many similarities here that we can go into a little later on. And so you're like right in the thick of it, trying to finish your degree, doing mommy life, like all glories to you. Like I'm so happy to be speaking to you today.
Thank you so much, Mother.
Yeah, you can call me Mother Gopi or you can call me Gopi.
Mother Gopi.
Yeah.
So earlier we were mentioning the five misconceptions.
Yes, so you have read my book. Tell me a little bit about what you felt after reading the book or while reading the book. What called to you? What did you feel about it in your heart?
The book overall,
Yeah, like what
I
were your
felt
thoughts on it?
I felt really grateful. Prior to reading your book, I had no idea that there was a whole tool belt full of tools that I can use to navigate through parenthood.
Mm, I'm so glad. I'm so happy. I'm so honored that you read it straight through. I need to put an audiobook out because very few people actually read these days, and it's a large book. And so I'm so glad that you read it. So we're about the five misconceptions. So I'll go into all of them, but I want to hear from you, which misconception did you relate to the most?
Yes, I don't remember exactly word for word, but it was something along the lines of like, you're not a bad parent if you're not at your child's side
Mm.
24/7.
Oh yeah.
Like you had mentioned that in Vedic society, there were like maids, nannies, nurses. Just it takes a community to raise a child. It takes a village.
Yes. Yes. So much of that. Mother's Day is a celebration of mothers and fathers, parents sacrificing themselves for their children. And society gives us this feeling that unless we're doing it perfectly, unless our child never cries, unless we're with our kids, unless we're, there's like long lists of expectations for us as parents and for moms. Um, and this, as it is raising a human being, when they're born, okay, giving birth, when they're born, taking care of them, feeding them, figuring out the breastfeeding and the nipples and the mastitis and the like all the problems, it can be so intense. It can really crush your identity where you don't know who you are. I found that a lot of this isn't spoken about. And I almost, when I had my first, I felt like it was like this big conspiracy against me that nobody told me how hard motherhood would be. You see all of the pictures of the cute babies, like gurgly and happy, and oh my God, best thing since, like the best thing that happened to me. But for a majority of us, and we are not crazy, um, taking care of a child is the hardest, absolute most difficult thing we will do in life. And so these five misconceptions kind of help relieve that burden of responsibility that's placed on us by society. And I'm going to just pull it up real quick. Um, yeah, the five misconceptions. Do you have the page number by any chance?
I don't. I had
Okay,
the
found it.
okay, you found
I feel like I should have this memorized.
it?
Number one, and that's the first one that you mentioned. I need to be with my child all the time. And so I had this misconception in my heart, personally, where, and we all do, of working moms, stay-at-home moms, you feel guilty when you have to leave your child with someone else. You feel guilty when you have to work to make ends meet, especially if you're a single mom, or in the society in America today, a two-parent household is usually what's required to just make ends meet, just to have a car and a good place to live and do all the things. Stay-at-home moms is an amazing responsibility, an amazing opportunity if you are able to stay at home. But even if you are at home with your kids all the time, you don't have to be with your child all the time. If you decide to take a break, if you decide to go on a vacation, have a ladies' night with your friends, go to the temple by yourself. I just speaking to one of my clients, and she escapes every Thursday evening, runs to the temple, does washing of windows at the temple, just so she can get that like space of like me time, that self-care, that separation. And as I say in the book, in Vedic times, there were so many caregivers. The whole village raised the child, and there were so many caregivers that took care of the children. It wasn't just all on one individual, one person, and this like pressure, this heavy pressure and this heavy guilt that if I'm not with my kid's going to suffer. Instead, identify, I have this need, I need a break, I need some space, and find a good caregiver, family members, a good nanny that you can depend on, someone that you know, someone that you trust. Make that a priority for yourself to add in that buffer so that when you take that little bit of space, that little bit of rest, you come back to it with fresh eyes, whether you're a working mom or a stay-at-home mom. I know some very powerful leadership parents who, after they work, they go for their workout, they go do their exercise, then they come home fully fresh and ready to meet their children's needs. If you're overworking yourself or not getting your space and end up yelling, complaining, frustrated, we get short, when we're with our when we're not when we haven't taken care of ourselves, the energy, the quality of energy we're offering our child is going to be so much less. And so yes, I need to be with my child all the time is the first misconception.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And I don't know, like I feel like the common theme, particularly in that misconception, is guilt.
Mm, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This
And
feeling of inadequacy. Go ahead.
earlier you had mentioned that like when you first when you had your first child, like you felt like no one really warned you about how hard motherhood was and you felt like your identity was kind of crushed. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah. Um, I was raised as most of us are, go-getter, accomplished, finished college, was accepted into Duke Medical University early on, was living in a community, like all involved in the temple community at that time. And it was like this constant feeling of like, I'm going to do my agency, what I'm going to do with my life. Suddenly, I have a little tiny little baby next to me, and all of what I'm going to do with my life, is it being put on hold? How am I going to juggle their needs and my needs at the same time?
Right.
And that change, that total shift in identity, in a really amazing, loving way. We love our children. We want to support our babies. I loved my baby. I wanted to support his needs as much as possible. But in doing that, every time he cried, every time he pooped, every time the diaper needed to be changed, every cloth that needed to be put on because he's now burped, I want to go to the temple, or I want to go see a friend, or I need to go grocery shopping. And wait, I have to spend half an hour getting him ready just to go out to the car to go get the
Mhm.
groceries and come back. And by the time I get to the car, oh, there's another burp. Like that first month, those first months, I'm sure you remember, like
Yeah.
life is all about your little baby. And so, because of that, your own idea for what you want in the world, it gets cut down. And it's so interesting you ask this question because this brings me to Damodar Janani. the beautiful book of motherhood that Shiva Maharaj has put together about the story of Yashoda Maya, Mother Yashoda, working with Krishna um, to tie the rope. And the quintessential lesson that she learned at the moment that Krishna decided to be tied was, I surrender. When she decided, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it my way, I'm going to do it my way. I have to tie this boy. I have to make sure that he's behaving properly. You know this story of the butter thief?
Yes, yes.
Yes, and how Mother Yashoda was trying to this quintessential lesson that every mom and dad learns with children, that you may have all kinds of plans for how you think it's going to turn out, but they have their own agency, they have their own free will, they have their own needs that may be separate than yours, and to have that mood, that experience of surrender, to really understand what it is to surrender, that experience comes up real frequently when you're a parent, where it's like, okay, fine, I give up. And in the book, Shivam Swami explains the details. It's like a full chapter just going back and forth of her trying to tie Krishna's little waist with the rope. And at the moment that Yashoda Maya says, okay, fine, whatever. And it's almost like the Draupadi putting her two hands up. At that moment is when Krishna just succumbed to her love. Okay, mommy, I'll let you tie me. Because he saw that the extent of her love was such that she was finally able to just let go of her desire to serve his desire. And so that's that's what mothering is about. That's what we can experience in mothering.
That's so beautiful. I've never thought of that story like that.
Hmm.
Thank you so much for sharing.
I had a moment like that, Lauren, and I wanted to bring this up right now.
Yes.
I'm sure we can discuss some more of the misconceptions, but suddenly remembering that Mother's Day is coming up. And the reason why I wrote Leadership Parenting was because of a very powerful moment in my life of my son's. Uh, my son was hospitalized, Reggie Kishore was hospitalized with a brain tumor. And that moment of surrender to the Lord, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was the most profound and what really changed my paradigm, my complete paradigm. Being able to trust that my boy has been brought here for a reason. Everything that's happening, all the challenges that I face are here for a reason. And even in all of the little and big pains, Krishna is with me and Krishna has a plan. And that surrender, again, the two hands up, not in a like, of course, a brain tumor is a pretty dramatic
Yeah.
experience. But even in that, I love you, Krishna. I want to serve your child that you have brought to my house. And I want to trust you in everything that you have given me. That level of surrender through love, not through surrender through pain. My experience was surrender through pain, and now I'm happy to be experiencing surrender through love. But that mood, mothering really gives us a chance to do that through all of the issues, all of the challenges, all of the crap, I was going to say, but I don't know if I can say that word here, as an official ISKCON broadcast. But through all of that, mothering gives us that chance to just really lean into what is the Lord looking for me to do in this scenario with his devotee?
Wow.
Was there another? Go ahead.
How did you come to that conclusion exactly? Because I'm trying to see how I can do that in my life with my son, you know?
Hmm. How did I come to the conclusion of surrender?
Yeah, like, I guess with your children and I guess specifically your son that had the brain tumor.
Hmm. It was a long, it's taken time. I haven't always been surrendered. It's leaning into the relationship with the holy name and with Krishna, and knowing again and again that Krishna is real, and seeing my own children's bhakti develop, and being in a community of Vaishnavas who have deep love and deep bhakti in their hearts. So it's all of it. Um, And then when the tests and the challenges come, freaking out and feeling all the pain, letting it out, talking to trusted, confidential friends, and then trusting again, walking again the path.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Could we go to misconception 2?
Sure. Which maybe we won't cover all 5. Maybe take a look at, which other one you would like me to talk about. Is there any other one that calls to you personally?
I think it was mostly that one.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe the core needs,
Yeah. Tell
and
me what you,
especially
go ahead.
yeah, especially with that first misconception, it kind of ties into so Mother Gopi Gita in her book had mentioned that there are 3 core needs. The first one is connection and belonging. The second one is free will and agency. And then the third one is achievement and completion. So
Mm.
for that first misconception, it kind of ties into connection and belonging, I would say. Um, could you talk a little bit about that, maybe?
I love that. I love that connection that you made to the connection and belonging core need. Um, what I heard you say was the 3 core needs. So leadership parenting is based on the bhakti process from Shraddha, initial faith, and burgeoning desire. Prabhupada calls it initial desire, initial faith, all the way to bhava and prema. And the entire path is laid out in a for a contemporary audience that don't know anything about bhakti. So in leadership parenting, we have identified the 3 stages, sambandha, abhideya, and prayojana. These are 3 stages of linear growth, but they can also be cyclical growth. Sambandha is where you make a relationship. And it's in terms of making a relationship with the Lord. Radha, Madan, Mohan are the deities of Sambandha. Sambandha means relationship, connection, magnetism, attraction, love, like 2 people together connecting. And then Abhideya is practice. Abhideya is the processes, the practices of bhakti. Bhajana Kriya goes in there. Sadhusanga, the level of Sadhusanga goes with Sambandha. Bhajana Kriya goes with Abhideya. Now, you probably didn't get all of this in when you read the leadership parenting book, because this is the underlying philosophy of it that isn't so mentioned because of the audience for the program. At the end of the book, you can see a chapter for bhakti yogis, those who are
Yeah.
familiar with all of these terms, and that explains the layout, the concepts behind the pedagogy that's being delivered. Abhideya is the need for free will and agency. And then the last one is prayojana, achievement, completion, accomplishment, like you're finishing it up, you're getting to your goals. You're reaching your goals is what prayojana is. So these have been identified as 3 core needs. Since the book was published, we have extended that to more needs, but we'll focus on these 3 core needs right now: the need of connection and belonging, sambandha, the need of free will and agency, abhideya, and the need of achievement and completion, prayojana. And all of these needs are stages in growth, levels of human growth. And they come very hand in hand with psychological principles. You can look at, I believe it's page 50 or 48 at the print copy of Leadership Parenting. And there's a chart in how Carl Jung and Adam Adler, William Adler, and Maslow's hierarchy. There's always these stages in modern psychology that say you need to hit these needs before you can move to these needs, and you need to hit these needs before you can move on to those needs. And the very top of it is self-actualization. Self-actualization in leadership parenting has been presented as dharma and samadhi, where a child and the adult guiding the child understands their purpose and can become fully absorbed. And then beyond that, we move into leadership, collaboration, vadanya, like mahavadanyaya, compassion, magnanimity, sangha, sankirtan, and you can look at all the levels in the book and on my website. So if you are able to hit your child's 3 core needs, so I'll give an example, Lauren, and I'm sure you're really familiar with this. And for all of you viewers, your child comes home complaining that their friend doesn't love them and that their friend keeps like saying mean and rude things to them. And this actually happened so frequently when I was writing this book during the pandemic, where social connections were broken, where kids didn't know how to talk to each other because of so much social distancing. And suddenly they would become super, super attached. And then the next day they're like screaming and angry, and I'm never going to invite you to my birthday party, and I hate you. And even for like the 14 and the 15-year-olds, where it's like, oh my God, we were best friends and we were always talking, and now there's a third person or a third element or a boy or whatever, someone comes in the picture, and now like, I don't know what's wrong with her. Why is she like ghosting me or not responding? Or like, I heard she said such and such to someone else. Or one friend comes over and says, and even with boys, not just with girls, this connection space was like uncomfortable. And when you feel your child's pain, when you feel them hurting, when you see that their play dates are messed up, when you hear the parents of their friends complaining that we can't have your daughter over at our house because they're just fighting, when you see them alone at the playground, when you see your son standing in a line to go to the bus and there's like a line and two boys push him out of the way and stand in front of him, whether they're 15 or 5, it's going to cause you pain. It's going to hurt. So that's the Sambandha space that we offer strategies for fixing that. How do you develop your child's connection space? If you have a Sambandha problem, then you can easily go to those chapters and find solutions and tricks, and not tricks. They're just really clear solutions established by Gauranga Mahaprabhu that can solve those. And they're established by Gauranga Mahaprabhu because we share in the process with everybody, with the whole world. We have presented Gauranga Mahaprabhu as Saint Gaura, the patron saint of love and learning, Saint Gaura and Saint Nitai. Through the bhakti process, Krishna Bhakti Koile, Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. Everything can be solved through the bhakti process. And so we share a few strategies in there that work like this. And the Sambandha space is usually where parents get the most benefit, the quickest, easiest benefit. Growth takes time. Growth is not magic. Growth is not a quick fix. You will in bhakti find some quick fixes and some bliss immediately. And then after a few years, you have to go deeper and deeper and really churn what's in your heart and rise up.
Mm.
So I'm talking a lot.
No,
What are your
please.
thoughts?
I just love how you mentioned Saint Flora in your book. Yeah, that's like another thing in Mother Gopi Gita's book. She uses a lot of pastimes or tells a lot of pastimes of Goranitai, and it's just beautiful. But um yeah, I guess a point that kind of comes up is like I guess it's important to meet our own needs too, our own core needs, so that way we could meet our child's.
Mm.
In particular, the connection and belonging is kind of like what resonates for me because when I read your book, I realized because I'm a stay-at-home mom right now and I'm going to school, but
Mm.
I'm pretty much like home all the time, like taking care of my son and then like doing my studies. And so it kind of just made me realize that I need to meet my social needs so I
Mm.
can meet his social needs, you know?
Yeah, bingo. That's if
Mhm.
your core needs are met, if you're feeling comfortable in your core needs, then when that problem arises, you'll be more confident, you'll know how to deal with it. You'll be filled up. Your bucket will be filled up. And
Mhm.
also if you have challenges in your childhood, if you've had similar challenges in your childhood, it will throw you for a loop. It will make you really confused, like, how do I deal with this? Instead of, oh, okay, I know what to do. Let's just, talk to him like this or say that. And so then the problem gets bigger and more magnified.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, I feel like through my son, I'm learning a lot about myself, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Oh, for sure. It's just like the quickest way for growth is become a parent because you're going to get all those obstacles, all those challenges, what we call I quit moments, where you're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know why I'm doing this. What am I supposed to say? How am I supposed to say it? Speaking of which, I could talk about the Abhideya space or the Prayojana space, but I'd love to hear something from you as far as like, what are some challenges you face? What are some of your I quit moments?
Okay. So I have a few.
Yeah.
I guess a very common one that other parents might be able to relate to is screen time. I've noticed that
Mm.
screen time is becoming more and more used by parents. But there's also there's pros and there's also a lot of cons.
Mm.
Would you like to maybe speak to us about those pros and cons?
Oh, absolutely. Screen time, like everything, when Srila Prabhupada talks about his um, the Yukta Vairagya process. Just a second, I'm gonna turn this off. Everything can be used in Christian service, and we are entering the technology age. We are right in the middle of the age of information, heavy technology. You as a family, you as a mother can identify how much screen time are you comfortable for your child to use. I do believe that this is a personal decision. And then once you make that decision and identifying what is your internal gut feel as to what's happening with your son and how much screen time he's using, that's the first question I have for you.
I think he's using the screen too much. And well, at least, yeah, like he's using the screen too much. And then when I try and take it away from him, since he's so used to it, he just freaks out. And it's
Mm,
hard because, like, sometimes it's the only way that I can, you know, get my studies done or even just like trying to take care of myself.
yeah. So right now, the screen time is being used for you as a tool to help you get other things done.
Yeah.
And so that's why you offer him the screen so that you can do your studies, which are really important to you hitting your goals.
Yeah, this is true. I just feel like it's too much because when I take it away from him, he throws a tantrum and he gets really mad.
So he's also like becoming attached to the screen and wanting to engage with it more. And that is making you feel like, how do I do this? It needs to come up like I can hear in your voice that you are really clear that it's too much and you don't want him to be using it that much. But then when you take it away, everything just erupts and explodes.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so I guess I'm just wondering like how to navigate through this, you know?
It's like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place because
Yeah.
you have things that you need to do, like you need to do your studies, you need to be have uninterrupted school time, like, and then so your 3-year-old needs something to do while you're doing that, and the quickest easiest thing that you know for a fact will benefit, not benefit but engage him, benefit you and engage him, is the screen.
Yeah.
But then internally you're like feeling torn apart because wait a minute, it's too much for him and I don't want him to be on the screens.
Yes.
Yeah. So the Abhideya need, the Abhideya space here is what we're working in. Now we've stepped into the Abhideya space. There's the area of free will and agency. Your core need of free will and agency, your agency to be able to study, and his core need of free will and agency to be engaged in something gets him um, that gets him busy. Now, your studies, are you doing that on a computer?
Yes, for
And
now.
so in his mind, he's mirroring mom. At 3, they do a lot of mirroring. Mom's on a computer,
Um,
I'm going to be on a computer. Mom's on a screen, I'm going to be on a screen. What do you
Interesting.
what do you feel is going on in his head? What's going on in your son's head when he's pulling up that screen and using that screen?
I think it keeps him entertained.
Mm. What is he
Um,
playing on it?
just like I don't know if anyone's heard of like Steve and Maggie. It's like just
Mm.
some silly shows, or sometimes he'll watch like educational videos. He
Okay.
really likes animals and dinosaurs. So I guess he learns a little bit from them, but also just for entertainment, it seems like for him.
Okay, so you like the content of what he's doing. You like what I'm hearing from you is that he's watching something educational. You just feel that it's like it's excessive right now.
It's excessive right now.
Yeah. And we can get here with all the facts of how screen time ruins brain cells and blah blah blah, which are all there. But instead, I'd love for us to remember these needs that are being met. Your need of agency to study, and also to figure out how can we meet his need of agency to be entertained and to connect with those characters and to learn.
Yes.
So since we don't like him using the screen time, since you're feeling that it's a little excessive and he does throw a massive tantrum on it, what are some other ways that he could fill his agency need?
Mm, maybe like activities that aren't screen time, like maybe a puzzle or
Okay. I
drawing or something like
I hear you searching. I hear in your voice like a little
yeah,
bit of like slowly, like you're also trying to discover what it could be.
exactly, yeah.
Mm. So you're saying maybe some puzzles, any other ideas come to mind?
Mm, maybe also being around like other kids possibly, like in an environment where he's like doing activities like with other kids, maybe.
Oh, okay. So you feel like while you're studying, you could arrange for some other kids to come and work with them or play with them.
Yeah,
So I
that's
heard
something possibly.
puzzles, drawing, some friends, anything else? What is like in your mind the easiest thing to do that doesn't require like all this extra endeavor?
For free will and agency.
Yeah, for him to develop, an alternative to screens.
I don't know. I'm not sure honestly.
Mm. Okay, so that's where our growth edge is. That's where you want to discover what is it that your child enjoys doing that's not a screen.
Okay.
When you have absolute certainty in your heart as to what he can be doing instead of the screen, is when the tantrum will stop. When you
Okay.
have absolute certainty in your heart that when he does that item instead of the screen, he will love it and he will be fully absorbed in it, is when the tantrums will completely end.
How do we figure that out?
Mm, observing, love
Or,
boosting, and observing. Here process, love boost, all the sambandha strategies, all the connection strategies that you talked to me about earlier, that you know and that you use. You notice that, when kids are like quiet in their room and like no one knows what's happening and you get all worried that are like what are they doing? Are they making a mess? They're too quiet. We feel like, oh my God, they're too quiet. And you go in there. I don't know how many parents these days feel it. I raised my parents, my children 10 years ago, and so there was less screens then. But I would frequently find my kid, you might find them drawing on the wall or taking apart the fan or I don't know how practical those examples are for these days because I feel like kids do use a lot more screens than when my children were younger. But when they're not using screens and they're doing something else and it's quiet and they're absorbed, that's what you're looking for. For a 3-year-old, a 10 to 20-minute activity, you're trying to watch what are they doing. A 3-year-old may come in the kitchen and pour rice from the bag into the container. And
Mhm.
so they take a long time to pour that rice. Um, they're very much into fine motor skills are being developed at that time. And so They might spend time playing with it or even cleaning the dishes. Like they love taking the soap and making bubbles and making a whole big mess with water. And if you give them that space to do that and then put a few towels there so that they can wipe up as well, you release your controlling need to have it be perfect and you allow them that. I mean, 3-year-olds can probably spend a good half an hour, 40 minutes just making a mess with the sink, thinking that they're cleaning the dishes. And they're in their mind cleaning the dishes. In their mind, they're doing work that's part of their agency, that they're purposefully doing work. And in our adult mind, we think, oh my God, they're making a mess, more work for me. So if
Mm-hmm.
we let go of that fear and allow them that space to discover what is it that they enjoy doing and observe them and then bring more in, then their need for screen time or, screens are a bit addicting. So they're still going to complain, especially if you're like stopping cold turkey or they've been used to it for some period of time. But in the Gita, it says, Raso Varjyam, right? Give a higher taste. Before you take something
Mm-hmm.
away, give something else. So this is, you classically do this with like 11 month olds. They have like the sharp knife that they're going to kill somebody with, and you give them an apple and you take the knife away. So in the same way, when you want to take away the screen, before you take away the screen, you get them excited about something else. Get them curious about something else, excite their eyes and their heart that, and then engage it with them. So this is where the serve process comes in, and I have a few more processes that are not in the book, that if anybody's interested in working with me, you can contact me and we can discuss it. I'd love to give you my time for all of our viewers, but it's first you do it with them, energize their space with them, show them step by step, like make that activity so exciting that they become fully absorbed in it and then go off to do your studies. Now, this is going to take time. This is not like a quick fix, but it'll lessen the tantrum. But the tantrum comes because he knows that when he's screaming, you are in chaos. What do I do? Oh my God, this is so annoying. Now, how am I going to study? Now you're in your heart tantruming with him
Mm-hmm.
because you don't have absolute certainty. Like you have absolute certainty that I need to study. That absolute certainty needs to be that if he does coloring or a puzzle or hangs out with his friends or whatever options that you said, or, makes oatmeal, whatever options may be there that you're comfortable to have your child do, if he does that, he will be fully absorbed and he will be happy with that.
Yeah, I love that point that you made about like kind of relinquishing control because that's something that I struggle with. I'd never thought of it that way. And also listening to you speak made me realize that my son likes to build a lot, actually. He likes to
Right.
build and design things.
Mm.
So now I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can create a space where he can kind of just be his own little architect or something, you
Oh,
know?
I love that. Lauren, that's so beautiful. Yeah. Uh, I can see Tinker Toys. There's so many like brain flakes. There's so many things out there that are relatively inexpensive that can be built with my boys had train tracks all around the house. Cups, my younger one like to stack cups. He likes
Oh,
to
yeah.
build. He likes to create because he's
Yeah.
getting something from the screens. He's learning something. He's excited. The screens, he's learning, he's getting something out of it. He's purpose oriented. Everything he's doing is because he wants to level up. He's constantly trying to level up just as you are. And so I love that you're starting to think of like, what could he do? And anytime you see a child start with engage with a toy, and then they are like, oh my God, after 10 minutes, they're done with it and it's all over. Now it's all a mess. And now you can't have to go clean it up. And you think, why did we pull that out anyways? Uh, Especially a young one, like 3, 5, engaging with them on that toy for 10 minutes, 15 minutes gets their energy back into it. Now they get
Mm.
more excited about it.
Okay,
I'm not
cool.
here to give you quick fixes. I don't want to give the impression to you and to our viewers that, oh, this is no big deal. You're going to get off the screen immediately. This takes time and guidance and trust in continually going, observing, seeing what they're interested in. avoiding the screen, keeping a time limit on the screen, explaining to your child that we have a time limit on the screen, taking away the do's and the don'ts, taking away, like, we're not going to do that now, but look at all these other options that we have, and allowing them to develop. Allowing him to develop his abhidheya muscles, his muscles of, this is where I feel purposeful. This is where I feel agency. This is where I feel good and accomplished, and I'm going to do this. So that's what we work on together.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. You know, Lauren, what you are doing right now, what you're doing in helping your child build and create, is you're setting the stage for the rest of his life. And what is he going to build and create? What world ahead of him, what path ahead of him will he build and create? What will he be excited about doing when he's a teenager and when he's a young adult?
Do you think that that would give hints to maybe his life
Yeah,
purpose?
absolutely. So that's all covered in chapter 11. Absolutely. When you observe, yeah, you're like, you know my book, clearly. I love how you're like coming in with the stuff even before I'm coming in with it. You know, you're also building your agency by taking care of him, because you're identifying, what areas am I feeling uncomfortable or unknown in? And there may be more areas of bhakti that you feel unknown in. What service do I do for Krishna? So where you see the, like, what service, what activity, what physical, rishikena, rishikesha, seviyor, bhaktir uchite, the physical aspects, the senses fully engaged, the body fully engaged in Krishna service is bhakti yoga. And so when it's like, what is he supposed to do with his screen time? You can also, like, part of the energy there is, what am I supposed to do to be fully in my purpose space and fully involved? And when you solidify that as well, you'll have more clarity on how to solidify it for him.
Mm. Yeah, I feel like that ties again into like starting with yourself so that way you can help your child, right?
Yeah. The work you're doing, even just having that argument of screen time, Lauren, that 10 minutes of screen time fighting with your child, it's more valuable, it's more powerful than any CEO managing thousands, because
Wow.
you're working directly with a little devotee of Krishna, and helping him understand who he is and what work he needs to connect with and what his purpose is and what his mark on the world will be when he grows up. Because very quickly, my kids grew up this fast. I can remember when my younger one was 3, like it was yesterday, and now he's 19. And he's a full grown, tall, big boned adult. Handsome, striking. I'm like, I look back at the pictures and I'm like, how did this happen? Like, what happened? It went by like a flash. And now he's making his mark on the world. Mantra Lounge and college, and he just finished his 3rd year. And all of that started. I remember all the moments that built to that. He's going into electrical engineering. And I remember when he was, building his drone at age 12, and when he was fiddling with origami at age 7. And when he was like, I can see how all of it, all those little things that he was doing created who he is now. And so that little argument that you're having to, like, okay, that feeling in your heart that this is too much screen time, let's divert it. And that work that you're doing is building and creating, and not that you're building and creating, you're facilitating the growth and the potential and the powerful, like, appearance of a full Vaishnava human being on this planet. And Prabhupada says childcare is more important than deity worship. So you, in that argument, Lauren, with that little boy, with your little, what is his name?
Jayani.
Jayani, with little Jayani, as a bhakti, as a lover of Krishna, both of you having that argument for 10 minutes is as valuable. Prabhupada says more valuable than deity worship.
That's such a powerful statement.
Even I have doubt as I say it. Like, am I supposed to be saying this as the representative of the Ministry of Education? I'm not saying this. Srila Prabhupada is saying this. More important than deity worship. And if all of us moms and dads knew this, the face of the planet would change. Our children would be the center of our lives, of our communities, of our schools, of our work. The children would not be hidden away, left the way communities are and the way, modern life is like. Like Goloka Vrindavan, the children are the heart. Navadvitam, Ayodhya, read all the scriptures. It's like half of the whole text is about their childhoods. And the spiritual world where God lives. It's a place of kids. Everything is focused on the kids. God is a kid. Both of them, Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna. Society needs to be centered around the nurture and the care of children. So that 10 minutes that you're taking to have that argument and feel that frustration and want, like, as he's tantruming, you're like, the stress. You have to study. You have to finish your degree. It's not easy to get good grades when you're 23 and you've got a kid. It's not, it's a very difficult thing you're doing, and practicing Krishna consciousness and all the chanting your rounds and going to the temple and all the, I'm sure, following the 4 regulative principles as you're new, everything takes time. Figuring out your outside relationships and now trying to develop new relationships. And there's so much here that you're navigating. So know that every minute that you are in this challenge, Lauren, you're doing leaps and bounds of service. Mahayagyas are being performed as you're doing that 10-minute struggle with your kid about the screen time. Yeah.
Yeah, you made that point about like trying to balance like your spiritual practice and also parenthood. Do you have any thoughts on that? Maybe go deep.
What balance or what areas do you specifically struggle with or have questions about?
I think like finding time, finding time to chant japa, honestly, and read while also trying to balance like my studies and trying to be there for my child as well.
Mm. Yes. What devotional service do you love doing? What devotional service gives you the most joy?
I haven't done many services, like at least at the temple, but I loved making garlands. Like I like to work with flowers and like kind of design and like create stuff.
Okay.
So anything in that area I like to
Beautiful.
do.
I'm seeing like a kinesthetic in you and your son, like
Yeah,
the
I think so.
making flowers and the creative energy, which is really needed in this age of AI. The creative, innovative energy is really needed. So you like making garlands. What else do you love?
I like talking to devotees, like just being there for them, being an ear whenever they need to vent or just have someone to talk to. So I like the idea of devotee care.
That's so beautiful to hear. You've mentioned that in our few conversations, you keep bringing that up, the need for devotee care, the 6 principles of bhakti connection that Rupa Goswami states, Dadati, Pratigunati, Guhya Makhyati Prachiti. So speaking confidentially, connecting with each other, holding a space for others to hear, that's also very powerful devotional service.
That's beautiful. That's my first time hearing about that.
In the Nectar of Instruction, it's a verse, in the Nectar of Instruction, verse 3, and it talks about the 6 like qualities of relationships, the 6 things that you do in a relationship to enhance a relationship. And one of it is guhya makhyati prachiti, or basically holding space for loving, empathic, confidential conversations with friends and devotees. And that's just as important as sharing. The other 2 are sharing prasadam, offering prasadam, eating prasadam, and the first one is offering gifts, accepting gifts. And then the last 2 are the sharing and hearing confidential like information with each other, trusting each other, building healthy relationships of self-care. And so that is a powerful practice in bhakti yoga. And that's what you love doing. So I heard making garlands, and I heard a powerful practice of holding space with Vaishnavas and with devotees, and hearing and like kind of like giving them an ear.
Yeah, so sweet.
So those are two powerful things. What else do you like doing?
I like to sing.
Okay, there you go. The heart comes out. Singing is calling straight from the heart. Now we're identifying this for our viewers because as moms, we don't have so much time. We don't have a ton of time to like fill our own bhakti bucket, our own bhakti needs, our own core needs. And so in order to fill your need first, if you continue to think of, oh, I'm not this, that, the other, I'm not chanting 16 rounds, I don't listen to Bhagavatam class, I'm not going to the temple. Radhanath Maharaj was visiting Laguna Beach, and he's very dear to our family, and I'm very fortunate to have had his association since childhood. And he's known me, and so he, my initiated name was Gopi Gita. He calls me Gopi, and he had come when Reggie was 2 years old, 1 year old, and he was giving class. And for me, my favorite thing is listening to class or giving class. And Radhanath Maharaj's classes, just like for me, they were like life breaths. And so I kept coming into the class with the baby, 11-month-old Reju, and Radhanath Maharaj is talking, and then Reju starts making noise, so I leave. And then I come back, and then I leave, and then I come back, and I leave. And as I'm coming back and forth, leaving, going in and going out, I'm feeling so much frustration because I just want to listen to this class. And all of my energy of frustration is going on my kids because my child is stopping me from my bhakti devotional practices. And Radhanath Maharaj stops the class and says, Gopi, your first duty is to take care of yourself. And it was like such a strong statement in front of a room full of people. It's like, okay, I'm so sorry. And I ran out and realized I have to accept this. This sucks for me, but actually it doesn't, because this is just as important and just as powerful. So when you have all the you shoulds and you shouldn'ts in your head as to what Krishna consciousness needs to look like as the parent, and especially as a parent of a young one, the decision to do bhakti yoga comes from a space of guilt and fear and pain. And that's why I ask you, what is it that you love doing? That will come from a place of love, not from a place of guilt. And as you start going into your heart and bringing out the jewels of love that you have for the Lord, the first one is, I love making garlands for the Lord. That's Archanam, right? There's Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, 9 processes of devotional service. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. There's 9 processes. You can look them up. One of them is worship of the deity and like offering. So even garlands can even be in the Vandanam. It's like a prayer. It's like a heart, like a creation of love that you're offering to the Lord. And so beautiful, beautiful bhakti yoga practice that you love. Then the second one was, wow, talking to the devotees. That could fall under so many. That could fall under Shravanam, hearing. That could fall under Kirtanam, glorifying the Vaishnavas that you're with by holding space for them. That could fall under Padasevanam, worshiping the devotees who are at the lotus feet of the Lord. It's another beautiful desire that you have to hold space for a devotee. It's as important. All the 9 processes are important. Sometimes we minimize them and think doing arti and playing mridanga and chanting my rounds is the only type of devotional service I should do. But when you have a child doing arti, when you have a 3-year-old, taking time to do arti or to go to the temple for Bhagavatam class is near impossible. It's not satisfying the needs of your child for you to satisfy your needs. Like you have to leave your kid at home or figure out something for them to do. Of course you can easily and happily do Bhagavatam class with your child engaged in activities in class, but that takes some time to develop that so that your child loves it as well. Always lead from the place of bhakti. Bhakti is love. Kevalananda Kanda. It's supposed to be full of joy. So always lead from the path of love when you're trying to investigate as a mom, what should I do in Krishna consciousness? What is if you lead from a place of like, no, no, you should, why are you not? This is not good. You're in Maya, you're not a good parent. Like all that stuff that's going to come in our head and come from all around us, reject it. And so those are the first two things I heard you say, the garlands, and then I heard you say the holding space for Vaishnavas and hearing conversations. And then the third one that now we're digging deeper into your heart. And what is even deeper? What's the third thing that's coming out? Singing for Krishna. That's Kirtanam. That's the second most powerful. Singing. And when you're singing, you're naturally hearing. So that's Shravanam Kirtanam right there. And I know that you asked that question because you're sitting here wondering, like, I don't chant my rounds. I'm not chanting rounds.
Honestly.
That's like why the question came up. Like, okay, I've been a devotee for 4 years and I know I should be chanting. And I've got a 3-year-old and I got to go to college. And Mother Gopi Gita, I don't chant my rounds. What do I do? We've all
Pretty
been
much.
We've all been there. We've all been there. And Kirtanam, Shravanam and Kirtanam. You lead from love and you'll find that you will love to sing the holy name of the Lord. You will find that those moments that you're with the holy name of the Lord, they will carry all of your other moments in your day. When you go deeper and deeper into your heart. When you don't do it out of like aggression and annoyance and frustration. Mahaprabhu did a really cool live video with me a few years ago, like 5 or 10 years ago, about how we should not chant Hare Krishna as parents. Like, Hare Krishna, Krishna, that our kids are going to get the idea that like, oh my God, they're really suffering when they pull out their beads. I never want to touch beads. And so singing is something you can do with him. He loves playing instruments. What does singing look like for you?
What do you mean?
Like you said, you love singing. Tell me more about that.
I just sing. I'll just sing around the house. I'll sing to my son. I'll
Yeah.
just sing and, just sing. I like to sing. And yeah, my son actually does like playing instruments. So just thinking about what you're saying, we could do it together,
Yeah. There you are. You can do it together. Kids love kirtan, especially devotee kids that are born in devotee families. They just absolutely love kirtan.
No.
And I can see you singing, singing lullabies at night. We have a whole variety of Hare Krishna kid songs that you can be singing. I loved singing bhajans to my kids. I love singing with them. I never forced my children to do the whole master the harmonium and go show off the harmonium in front of a whole group of people to show that you can do kirtan. I never did that. And I questioned myself as to why am I not doing that? I wanted to lead from love. I didn't want harmonium and mridanga to become like this forced thing that they had to do because my sister is an international kirtaniya. She loved doing harmonium. I loved singing harmonium. My parents introduced it to me. We went to harmonium class. It was always from a place of love. We led the kirtans at the home programs at age 6 and 7. We enjoyed it. It was never a stern go do piano practice. That mood takes away bhakti, and it makes it so that facts are facts. The majority of our children don't stay in Krishna consciousness when they grow up because it's become like this closed box. Because moms and dads, bringing it back to the Mother's Day, we feel this pressure that our child has to be Krishna conscious and I have to be Krishna conscious right now because the material world is full of suffering and I have to save my child and myself from that suffering. Lead from love. Always lead from love. What do you love doing in Krishna service? Then you will find that your child will also love it with you.
That's so beautiful.
It really is.
From this particular segment, the main theme for me is lead with love,
Yes.
not fear.
Yes. Or guilt.
Oh yeah, or guilt for sure.
We're going to have the guilt no matter how much we try to lead from love. There's always going to be the guilt hiding there. So we got to remember this. I'm telling myself. Mom's guilt, it's real. It's a real thing.
Yeah, I can relate.
Yeah.
All right, Mother Gopi Gita, thank you so much for this discussion. It was
Yeah,
amazing having you here.
I'm so grateful to be talking to you, so grateful to be on this ministry of the Vaishnavi Ministry podcast broadcast as a representative of the Ministry of Education. This is the most important education we can have, is how to raise our children and be comfortable and safe ourselves. I wanted to actually share a little bit about Srila Prabhupada before we leave. Is that okay?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Srila Prabhupada was the quintessential mama. Like, when you watch how he nurtured and how he cared his devotees, I like waking up and watching like 5-minute clips of him moving and acting and working. I love it, actually. I love watching how when he does his tasks, and this is an Abhideya theme, a free will agency theme, he doesn't have any extra effort in the way that he does his tasks. Like, I was watching it, like his entire body, almost like the cells in his body are going in a wave pool. Like, he's so relaxed and so deeply centered and so deeply motivated by love. There's no energy of fear or stress or discord. And when you feel that energy, when a child feels that kind of safety and peace and love in a parent, that's when they just want to automatically be around you and do anything you want to do. When you're around Srila Prabhupada, because it emanates from him, this external like feeling of just like peace and happiness and joy with no fear, you're attracted to it. You want to be there with him. You want to do it with him. And so I wanted to share that as parents. Bhakti means no fear, no stress, no heavy like rules and regulations that make you stressed out. If as a parent you're following rules and regulations that's making your family stressed out and making your kids stressed out, trust that your children are already Vaikuntha children. They know what they need for Krishna consciousness. Move away all of those external like have tos and shoulds and should nots. They're more elevated than you, most likely. And lead with love and follow them and always think about where they're at and what they're doing and what their needs are. And that's what Srila Prabhupada showed us. So I just wanted to end with that thought.
That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Mother Gopi Gita.
All right. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for watching. Happy Mother's Day. Mother Gopi Gita's links will be linked in the description box, her book, her website, and social media handles. And also, we will be posting more videos throughout the month to celebrate mothers. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. Thank you. I just wanted to add, right now is the time to get connected with me if you want help, if you want more information, if you want to have a chat with me. My summer is coming up and I have space on my calendar. I do coach executives, and leadership parenting is burgeoning, getting very popular and very famous very quickly by the Lord's mercy, and time is getting really tight. So if you're interested and if you've heard about leadership parenting and you want more information, you want specific strategies for your child and you need help, now is the time to do it, because later on it may be too packed. And so you can go to leadershipparenting.com, or you can just send me an email, gopi@leadershipparenting.com. And happy Mother's Day to you, Lauren. Hope you have a beautiful day, and I'd love to hear back from you as to like what, how it went. And to all our viewers, if you have questions during this broadcast, it's not being done live, but just drop your questions in and I'll see what I can do to answer them. And maybe Lauren will be able to answer them as well, since she's also becoming an expert on this parenting thing. So thank you so much, all the Vaishnavis, and Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama.